I was actually, I knew it was going to be here for the loser match, and I thought I was going to be seeing MVP versus Team Secret, because based on his results. So I'm pretty hyped to see CDEC versus EHOME, which, according to Matuma Man, and according to him, everybody knows, two best teams in China. So one of them is going to the lower bracket in the main event, and that's going to be quite this rough start.
Alright, well, we're going to find out how the two best teams draft as well, because it looks like we're going there now. So into the draft. Well, the first game here, or first match of the series, is EHOME versus CDEC. Diva, you have a lot of notes in front of you. That is...
Yeah.
What's going on with your notes?
Well, I basically always write down all the drafts, because that helps me remember the drafts in the game, and I write down like keynotes of the game so I can remember the games. But I also wrote down a little bit of the playstyle. I wrote down what I heard professional players talking when I was stalking them, basically.
That sounds like a little bit, yeah, TMZ, like the paparazzi of Dota.
I was just sitting right behind or right next to the teams, like, what do I hear them say?
Can I have a look at your notes, Steve?
Can.
What have you got there?
Okay.
10 seconds.
God sucks match tie. That is one of my notes.
5 seconds.
What does it tell you about the outcome of this game?
And how do you think that's going to affect EHOME versus CDEC Game 1?
I think it's going to affect not at all, but the panel all the more, because tomorrow, I mean, God, come on. People are going to expect you to talk to your tie. Are you prepared?
I've been thinking through my wardrobe. Ever since you brought that up during the break 10 minutes ago, I was like, what other socks can I wear that match my tie?
I mean, there's a call-out thread on Reddit on the front page calling out Blitzer socks, which are white, and ankle socks, which you saw. So, you know, socks are an important thing here. But for EHOME CDC, obviously, I wrote some stuff down as well. But the biggest thing that I have for EHOME, actually, because the EHOME game was not shown on the mainstream.
No,
so
but
I casted it.
I
casted it, watched both.
You casted it. Well, that's, yeah, whatever. And to be honest, I want to go with Sock Lady here. Sock Lady who didn't cast the game.
I didn't either watch the game, but I talked to professional players, pros that actually watched the game. And they thought, well, obviously nobody was expecting EHOME MVP to win, rather. And EHOME, Moon said, Brood fed. Basically, that was 11 that was playing Broodmother in the second game. He fed both games. He died 3 times before 5 minutes laning stage. Like
10 seconds remaining.
Not good for EHOME, and that's going to be something they have to improve for this series, I think.
Yeah, they're going to have to pull their socks up if
Yeah.
they want to win this game. Ben, we might as well get your opinion, since I mean apparently you casted the game, whatever that means. But you know, if you can elaborate on Brood fed.
That game he actually did decently. He got return kills. The first game he played Faces Void, he actually did not look that comfortable on the hero. And
Who played Faces?
They're all flaners.
Old 11.
Old 11.
Old
And
11.
he got OD astraled into Arrow a few times, which can't really do that much about. So that kind of led to his demise. A key for most of the teams has been to not give EHOME their lone druid, considering how much success they've had, and it's never been given to them. Also, Nature's Prophet has been kind of highly prioritized against EHOME. It was banned in one game, and MVP Phoenix first picked it in the other game. EHOME also don't really like the super stylish heroes, Invoker and OD. They have not picked up in either game until now. The last game, Invoker was 10th overall. Like,
Really?
it just kind of skated by. It's like, oh, okay, MVP. You're just like, I'm just going to take it mid, no problem.
All right. So if I'm new to watching these two teams play, EHOME versus CDEC gaming, of course, if you know, some people might have been able to watch CDEC earlier, but might have not caught EHOME. How do you sum up EHOME, Ben, Melanie?
Their laning phase is not actually the strongest, which is why I think MVP Phoenix actually dominated them in the first series. But overall, they have a very unique playstyle from the other teams. They don't even know how EHOME is so good. Like, why they just use these picks that no one else does, and they just win games when it looks like their strategy has no synergy at all.
So basically in China, most of the Chinese teams would say EHOME are a bit of 野路子. It means that they are
Overrated.
No, it's not overrated.
Underrated.
野路子 means that they are a team that are not afraid to do something else that none of the Chinese teams are willing to try out or do in an official match. Because most Chinese teams are very known for being stable. We just do whatever we know will work, and we just stick to it. But EHOME, you know, they like to draft, like we mentioned, Legion Commander support, a balance support. They're not afraid to use all this type of hero.
Who do you credit for that in EHOME? Who's the crazy guy in the team?
Isn't it 7-1? I'd say who's their coach. If anything, he used to coach the old Team DK, who did the same thing. And
I think when Lamb was drafting before this, he drafted a balance support, but after they stopped drafters, now Old Chicken is drafting. he drafted more of the crazy stuff because he's the new breed of type of new players, like the younger players.
Yeah.
So they are more daring into trying something that no one else has done, and they have a lot of novelty ideas that, oh, I think this will work.
What
And
do you think about
I think for a
that?
team to be
Turn to
successful, you need both. Like you need the experienced player and you need the new player that wants to try stuff out.
What do you think about the Phoenix support then? In both the games that EHOME
Did he
played, they had
go
Kaka play
Sunray?
Phoenix
Did he go
support.
Sunray max?
Yep, he went 1-1-3.
No, at level 7 did he max it?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen a few teams that actually done that before because this patch you got buffed like from 4% to 5%. So it's a huge deal.
That's 1%.
Yeah, but it's a really
That's
huge
more than
10 seconds remaining.
sorry, gods gave Archon.
5
to
seconds remaining.
finish a game, I think. I'm not even sure what it was. But yeah, go on. That's a lot of
Yeah,
percent.
I mean, it's
in
really,
Dota, that's big.
I think it's really good at if you have a lineup where you have a tank, where you're healing the tank, it's really good. And I think I've experimented a different way of playing Phoenix, where in the laning phase, if you're a support, you get the sunray early to zone the off laner up.
Okay.
I don't think you've seen that done in like maybe the past year or so. It's mostly been recent that players have been experimenting getting the sunray at level 1 to zone the off laner, which is really, really effective.
I love the way that you're telling me that with like just absolutely bright eyes. Just kind of
Yeah,
like, this is the coolest thing that I have done
It is
in the
cool.
last 6 months.
I haven't done it, but I had the experience of being on the
Whoa.
receiving end of
When are
it.
you gonna do it? When do you think you'll do it?
No, I was the receiving end of it. I
Yeah.
was getting zoned by sunray.
But you were still smiling. It was so cool.
Hey, it was cool. It was cool.
I love it. All right, let's get back into the draft. We talked a little bit about EHOME in terms of what we can expect and some of the heroes that they've played. So this is the first time they're going to be playing OD this tournament, as far as Melina you mentioned. So how do you like the draft so far?
It's different than their other ones. It seemed like they relied too much on the Phoenix because he just got level 6 way too late, and they just lost all their lanes and all momentum before like 8 or 9 minutes in both of their games versus MVP Phoenix. So I think this game they want way more map control and they want more aggression from their supports. They also had a Crystal Maiden in one of the other games and just kind of passively farmed, and then they just lost all their lanes because no one moved around. So they want more movement, more aggression, not level 6 dependent.
What I'm going to look forward to this game for EHOME and also for CDEC is both of the teams kind of lacked fast-paced hero or heroes that can determine the pace of the game, and we saw XC actually do it in the first game today against Team Secret on his Void, which he, by the way, has played all 3 games, and he will probably play that again today on the 4th game he plays, so that's going to be fun for him. But it is a hero that can determine the pace of the game, and I think for both teams that is going to be very important. It is one of those heroes that you say like relies on levels rather than specific farm. So I'm right now already favoring CDEC a bit more than EHOME purely for that reason.
Another thing we've seen, at least looking at the Secret CDC series, was it was always about the team fight, who had the bigger,
10
scary team
seconds
fight, and that, I
remaining.
mean, we've got Void, EHOME had the OD. It's still very early on in the drafting phase, and
5
heroes like
seconds
the
remaining.
Enigma, the Tide, etc. are still in the pool, but CDC kind of sticking to what worked for them in the
Reserve
previous
time.
series, and what worked for Secret as well.
Yeah, saying that CDEC did, like they played team fight heroes previous game that they played against Secret that they actually ended up losing, but they had a draft that was more specified for pickoff. So I had a Matumaman again saying, or rather it was Crit that said, well, CDC, if we would have played CDC's heroes, we would have won that game against Secret, easy. He was saying CDC is gonna win every time until Secret started winning team fights. But the reason Secret started winning team fights was because CDC team fought them, and they shouldn't have because they
10
didn't have the better
seconds
team fight lineup. So as long as they draft for that, then they're gonna be okay, at least if they
5
have better team
seconds
fight than
remaining.
EHOME. But I think for CDC the biggest problem is falling into the playstyle of the team that they're facing.
Reserve time.
If that like
You mean like kind of CDEC don't really make all the moves, they just
yeah,
play it out?
they play actionary Dota, if you will.
Or they try to like, because they're so used to fighting, they're always drafting heroes that fight well. Then there's this one particular game, like you mentioned, that game they are not as strong as fighting, but
Yeah.
they still
They
try
still
to
try.
fight because they are used to it. Instead of like trying to, we are not having the same type of draft that we usually have, and we have to adjust, but they're just doing the same thing. I guess that was what Crit was pointing
Yeah,
out.
I think so too.
Oh, Viper, what do you think of that, Ben?
EHOME's turn to pick.
Ben thinks it's a distinct hero.
I think Viper's great. Bad about why is he disgusting?
It's annoying to lane against.
It's
yeah.
super annoying to
Yeah.
lane against. I mean, it's a great hero. Don't get me wrong. It's disgusting, but great. Winter's looking at people intently now. What's your feelings about
Is
that?
it too low skill for you?
No, it's just very annoying to lane
5
against him.
seconds
That's why,
remaining.
like because he doesn't have to do anything. You hit him and you get slowed, and he
It's
just.
Well, do you
no
like,
sun
do you-
ray
do
for
you like him
Winter,
in the
you know?
lineup?
Reserve time.
I mean, you've got Bounty Hunter in there.
I think
Jack Gold.
the reason they picked Viper here is they wanted to have a hero that can lane primarily against OD. But even Viper in certain situations, you might still struggle.
CDEC,
I'm not so
turn
sure
to
because
pick.
I remember my teammate told me that Viper can sometimes, even though you can pick Viper against OD, but sometimes OD still wins the matchup if you make a mistake in the lane. It doesn't mean that
So if
Viper,
you make mistakes, you can lose.
you can still
the
lose the
lane.
lane. Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like a Viper like super favorite matchup, even though
Okay.
I think that they pick it just so to lane against the OD.
Okay. Do you like
10
it, like
seconds
Gods,
remaining.
the Viper?
Yeah, I think it's the CDC. They go back to what their
5
playstyle. They want to
seconds
fight. They want a
remaining.
5-man. They can pick the Gyrocopter, great
turn
counter
to
pick to the
bat.
Undying now as well. Just being able to deal with the Tombstone and flack down all the zombies.
Remember this
so
hero? It was banned all 3 games
Yeah.
by Secret
Yeah.
in the first phase.
I think it was maybe over prioritized in terms of the bans, and I think if not for the Undying, CDC may not have even picked it. It's hard to really know for sure. But as soon as the Undying
10
came up, I'm like, yeah,
seconds remaining.
they're going to Gyrocopter. It's just. And EHOME as well likely would
5
know that.
seconds
So
remaining.
they don't seem to mind that they're picking Undying
So,
into it.
This game is like, again, both teams are
10
drafting so
seconds
heavy team
remaining.
fight, and Undying Night Stalker. This is something really
CDEC,
popular in the
turn to
previous
bat.
patch where you just put a lot of pressure on the off lane,
Mhm.
and especially when CDEC have a Bounty Hunter, you're going to roam one of your supports, so you
Yeah.
only have one lane support against Undying and Night Stalker, so your Gyro might have a bit of trouble. But luckily, Gyro is one of the carries that
Best
is
laner.
really
10
good in the
seconds
lane.
remaining.
Yeah.
They need to be very careful of what they
EHOME's turn to
the
pick.
supporting partner. So they ban out the Witch Doctor as well. One of the strongest laning supports in the game right now. But EHOME is really showing that they want to pressure the enemy safe lane heavily right now.
Yeah, and Undying and Nightstalker are both pretty resilient to the Bounty Hunter, who can sometimes pressure the safe lane as well. So, I mean, Bounty at this point is kind of limited to
But
just poking at the
You
OD
can't
mid.
really help the lane though.
Yeah, like I'm kind of looking at it's like, where's Bounty going to help? Like
10
OD mid,
seconds
all he needs is a
remaining.
sentry there on his high ground, and he should be fairly safe. The Undying Nightstalker, there's
5
not much you can
seconds
do, and
The Lion though, the Lion seems like a particular weakness
Yeah.
that the Bounty Hunter could focus on.
Is it one of those things that Bounty like really
Reserve
needs to
time.
start a fight though, or help? Is it, or was it just more like you need to get levels and not die?
You need to make a difference in the laning phase.
Okay,
so
you
that
do need to make a difference.
Yeah, so that you get your level 6. Because if you don't do anything, it's going to take a long time
Yeah.
for you to reach the point.
Okay.
This
And
is-
Ursa.
yeah, it's like the CTY hero. And to summarize why EHOME is such an unpredictable team and why it's so hard to kind of describe like how good they are, it's because of this CTY guy. He's just crazy. He just plays his hero pool is so
He
versatile.
played Lifestealer in game number 1.
He
It
plays
didn't really
Lifesteal.
work out though.
Wait,
It didn't, but he still
Life-
picked.
It's the fact he'll play Lifesteal. He'll play Anti-Mage. He'll play Ursa. He'll play just whatever the
but-
hell EHOME want to pick
But
for him.
Blitz
And he,
said this
5 seconds
before, like he mentioned that Ursa is really good versus Void because even if you take damage, you
Yeah.
backtrack. There's still the
Reserve
first
time.
swipes buffer on you, so
Yep.
you don't actually remove that. So
10
Ursa
seconds
is really good in the
remaining.
lane versus Void.
Ooh. Then Winter Wyvern is really good against Ursa.
Yep.
So
You still
can't
you
put-
still stack
You still
the,
stack
yeah.
up the deep, but you do get time to actually kill the Ursa, or at least maybe kite him away.
Yeah.
You have the Viper already, which is a very great hero to kite the Ursa
Mhm.
around.
does the Fury Swaps work on your teammate? It doesn't apply to your teammates, does it?
Oh, you mean when you get cursed?
Yeah, if you get
Why wouldn't
cursed.
I think
I don't know.
I think it applies because I remember when Slark
Okay.
hits his own teammate, you still
Oh, he
stack.
still stands.
Yeah. So
That's cruel.
That is actually nice.
yeah.
Okay, so for game number 1, number 2, be your couch number 2.
Couch number
Mhm.
2.
Couch number 2. Who's going to win and why?
What do you
What do you
think?
think? You have to agree. Come on.
I think EHOME.
EHOME? Good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for EHOME also based on purely just they're the better team. I
So
think.
that leaves
a
us
brave prediction.
that
What
leaves
are we
us
doing?
no choice but to say
Mind you, I've been
5
wrong all
Bring
day.
it,
So.
bring it on, Merlini
I'll
Cal.
go down with. I'll go down with CDs.
let's do this. We are doing everything together. So CDC.
Ursa's gonna get kited.
You
He's
have
gonna
to
be
agree.
useless.
You can fight if you want. Feel like Dota
I'm not
therapy.
in the mood with fighting with Ben now. So we'll have to agree.
CDEC. Why?
I think that Ursa might just get kited way too
Yeah,
much.
because of the Viper. The Viper might
and
be able...
the Winter Wyvern.
Okay, well, that's going to be the case as we go into game number 1 between EHOME and CDEC.
That's right, EHOME versus CDEC, a match that many would be forgiven if they were thinking they were watching the winner's bracket matchup. But no, this is actually the loser's bracket matchup. Probably two teams that you didn't really expect to be seeing facing up against each other. Capitalist and joined by Blitz.
Oh my
Blitz?
god.
Oh Jesus, are they actually going to be
No! They're gonna get spotted. There's no way.
there's no way. They start out with the
CDEC
early
going
sentry
there.
ward. They're trying to bounce this one out. They have
What's
healing
going
cells.
on?
They've already taken out one of the sentry wards. EHOME is currently trapped right now. They're going to try and fight this one out. Kaka is already leading with a little bit of decay on both. They've got aggressive on 5. They're actually going to be able to chase him down here. They're going to be able to surround him. CDC, they've just stumbled into a first blood trap, it seems. There's aggressive first to go down, and Gil, he may be caught as well. Old 11's going to be able to slow him down with the void. EHOME just keep on moving forward. Gardner uselessly trying to jump on Old Chicken, managing to actually slow down the team long enough and get them away from the Winter Wyvern. Now trying to get away from the counter ward, but ever so barely with just 20 HP left. EHOME somehow, XC, he managed to get the bounty rune at least. This may actually be not the worst thing in the world if they can get both bounty runes. See if the Faces boys should be able to get out with a quick time walk away, and we're all good to go now. What a weird way to start this matchup.
We had all these prepared statements about the picks and how it was gonna play out, and then all of a sudden, EHOME goes for this level 1 roast strat, and I don't really understand why they thought these teams are gonna be somewhat ready for it, or at least the bounty hunter is gonna scout the accompanying area. So it was a little bit more dangerous than it had to be, but it didn't really matter because there's no way CDEC knew that there was gonna be a 5-man roast. Yeah, they probably just thought like, hey, we'll just send 1 or 2 of these heroes in. And then as soon as the sentry ward's laid out, aggressive is pretty much in no man's land, but Old 11, 100% going to go down here.
He completely surrounded, is going to be able to take it out by the tri-lane of CDEC. But let's actually talk about some of those prepared statements now that the laning phase has kind of played itself out. CDEC going back to some of what they used to know, as picking up the gyrocopter and bounty hunter heroes that we saw from, of course, TI.
Yeah, and it's more just designed to kind of help out their supports, because the bounty hunter, one of those heroes that doesn't really fall under the support category necessarily, but he's going to be annoying, get in people's faces, force the enemy supports to be pretty poor. More than that, he just strengthens the lanes a lot. Like, the Night Stalker never really knows when he can play up, and Old 11 is kind of a dangerous, live on the edge type of player anyways. He's the type of off laner that's willing to push things and willing to die often just to get a little bit more XP, but he's
being punished heavily here as he's going to go down a secondary time. Aggressive is the one to pick up the kill, and it seems like perhaps this Undying mid is not really working out so much for them. I think they expected the bounty hunter. In fact, we were talking about the idea of aggro dual lanes being a good way to be able to counter the bounty hunter and force him downwards, but this doesn't seem to be playing into EHOME's hands at all. They're actually keeping Kaka mid, and the bounty hunter is destroying bottom.
And that's a really smart kind of game sense from Garter to say, okay, the Undying's going to be mid. There's not a whole lot of opportunities for me to kill this OD, especially when he's got the Astral. I might as well go for this bottom lane, because Old 11, he knows that he's the type of player to get really aggressive. But
what an unfortunate Invis rune, unless... it takes the long way around. Meanwhile, they're actually going to be able to chase down Old Chicken here pretty easily, has no imprisonment, and will be just run down Fairy Fire or no. CDEC hitting hard here in the laning phase after giving up that first blood in that awkward Roshan scenario, but picking up both bounty runes and being able to get all the kills after that, they seem to be doing pretty well for themselves. XC is doing pretty damn well against this dual lane. We were talking about how Lion as a heavy disabler is really quite strong against Faceless Void, able to kind of mitigate some of that power of Time Walk, but he seems to really know how to challenge this lane, and perhaps why CDEC are so willing to first pick the Faceless Void time and time again. But is he going to be caught? No, easily able to get out once again.
Yeah, the CTY just wasn't quite ready for that. And the Ursa's really good against the Void just because the Fury Stripes continue to apply. But at the same time, the Lion and him have to sync up pretty well. And the Lion probably has to be level 3 before any sort of attempt like that happens. But I really thought it was going to be an off lane Undying to pair with the Night Stalker, put a little bit more pressure. You probably don't get a lot, but you force Garter to stay on the southern side of the map, and you prevent what just happened mid.
Do you think that was a bit of a stumble by EHOME, picking up the Undying with the Gyrocopter still out there in the pool? It's a hard hero to try and aggro a lane against, particularly with the way that Flat Cannon deals with Tombstone.
Yeah, I thought they could deal with the Lina pretty well with what they had. So I figured that they would ban out the Gyro.
Well, we have our first nighttime coming in. See if Old 11 is able to be of a bit more use. Was at that bottom lane. Fortunately, no boots just yet. This off-lane Night Stalker does go a bit of a different build than the 4-position Night Stalker, and as such, Old 11 has just been left with this out shield so far.
Alright, so this OD usually does okay against Viper right now. The Viper's already got the Ring of Aquila and almost the Mystic completed. And at that point, you're perfectly fine in this. The Viper can be somewhat self-sufficient, but in the draft itself, we were talking about how EHOME, the way that they play is a little bit wonky to begin with, and CDEC, they're Radiant, Void early on. Seems like they kind of practice this like one set style,
Right.
and it's really just dependent on like they take the Void and then from there on they roll with whatever they have.
Mhm.
But prior to their series, like when they played against Secret, they were giving Shiki like the semi-carry mid, and I feel like this kind of mid is a lot better overall, and they're gonna make the attempt on Old Chicken.
Yeah, once
The Knight
again,
is here,
Taka's
though.
going to be able to meet him, though, and they actually had the Sentry Ward out, but not able to really catch much there. They get the stun onto Shiki, but it's only a level 1, so it doesn't mean much, and CDEC back up pretty freely, but
This Lion really has to get his level 3.
yeah, the more aggressive style mids, right? For Shiki, this is why he was so dominant on Lina. We've seen some success of the Puck as well. That seems to be a strong play from him as kind of fits his playstyle. Q is going to be chased down by Old 11 here. Shouldn't have any issues though. In fact, it's going to be Old 11 who's got to be careful not overextending himself once again.
Man, EHOME's just getting shut down around the map,
Mhm.
and I put a lot of this on Garter. He's just making so many different rotations that are working out. It feels like he's just everywhere on the map right now. So CDEC, you know, they've got the upper hand when it comes to these rotations, whereas EHOME are playing almost entirely reactionary cap.
Yeah.
Like they're saying to themselves, okay, our bottom lane needs help, but we're already mid. So then we'll start heading kind of to that bottom section of the map, but there's no kill opportunity there. And then while that's happening, Garter's already on the move for the mid lane, and he's killing the OD, so it's a little bit too far behind, and now Lanam is gonna...
That's a very big kill. But Gyrocopter is going to be met with Taka here as he tries to come in for the side, but Garter easily spots him out, and, well, that's going to be the Tombstone down as well. That's a huge increase of gold there for Aggressive, and they're going to be able to keep more pressure on that Tier 1 tower. Once again, Garter just in the right position every single time. He just seems to be one of the fastest supports when it comes to rotating and making kills happen during the laning phase. Really setting the tempo match.
And a Bounty Hunter usually, it's a little bit difficult to run just because teams are so willing to 5-man early on and play objective-based Dota. And Bounty Hunter there is a little bit weak, but the way that CDC are running it in mid, Old 11's gonna...
He got picked off earlier, but he got his level 6, and that's all that was really needed to be able to successfully gank up that middle lane. And once again, Old Chicken does go down.
Oh, did CTY miss the smoke? Oh no!
Popped out, perhaps
Wyvern?
Q? I think he popped it.
That's so bad. He was gonna go for the Roshan right there, and now CTY is kind of confused. He's saying to himself, okay, I've traveled all the way here, I TP'd, we use the smoke for this, now what? So he's just gonna make his way back to top. Lanam might actually get spotted here by
Garter, is he
Garter.
gonna fight him? Oh god, he got him too. Lanam, he's gonna have to drain some mana before he has to disable. CTY is coming in. Garter, he's actually gonna be taken out first. Not able to finish off Lanam in time. CTY able to get there in time to save his favorite support. He's now got Arcane Boots.
That was such a weird position. There's no way that Garter thought that CTY was gonna be there.
Q,
Unbeknownst
is
to
he
him.
trapped? He knows he has to stay in the tree somehow and juke Old 11, but he's going to come down eventually, and Old 11 will find him. He has the Void still. He's going to wait it out, silence him up, and should be able to right-click him down. It's going to be a bit of a dive, though. Old 11 is going to commit as Daytime now pops. No, the Gyrocopter is going to be able to finish him off, and Q walks away ever so barely.
That's gotta hurt. Old 11 is just really hurt his team so far with going 0-3-1. He's picked up some levels, but the amount of deaths that he has in the offlane so far, really hard to justify that kind of performance. But Garter, we're seeing the replay here is
Easy pickoff left and right. Just, it seems like as a whole, EHOME are just not able to really find much of a footing there. The pickoff on Garter was pretty inconsequential. Let's talk about the Ursa though. That's definitely one of the heroes that you know, you go back perhaps a month or two ago and you wouldn't have seen a whole lot of, but nowadays we're seeing a lot more Ursas pick up, specifically with this Mask of Madness build. What is it about Ursa that is really a strong pick right now?
and his ultimate pretty much gives him invulnerability in the early game. It does quite well. He's one of those carries that can really help us support out just because one's done and he's able to nuke down anybody. And the Roshan potential is so high that you can set the game tone and play incredibly fast, but...
Right, which makes it particularly stronger on the Dire side.
Yeah, it's good against the Viper too, because the Viper traditionally, he's got, he's got the corrosive skin, you get a mech, you get some tanky items, but I don't care.
XD, this is going to be a constant ganking spot, it seems, as pretty much everyone is trying to run some sort of aggressive ward. If you're running an offlaner who's going to be farming up those offlane camps, know that the enemy is going to try and get an aggressive ward to spot that out and gank you time and time again, because while you're doing it, you're probably sitting at about a half HP until that Morbid Mask is up for Faceless Void. You're just chipping away at his own HP points.
Right now, CDEC are in a pretty great position, actually. They haven't even had to rely on bounty track gold, and they've got a decent gold lead that they've built up so far. For EHOME, they're getting their Ursa involved. Really important. He's been a part of all 4 kills right now. You want to pump him up full of levels if you can, and bottom, they're going to go for the dive again. You have to respond to this, though.
There's going to be 1 TP, 2 more. Now the Gyrocopter ultimate is going to go down. They're going to be imprisoned, holding Gyrocopter here. Let's see if they can actually combo him down, though. They get a couple of nukes, but it's still, they're just too much slow coming out from that Gyro ult. So they're going to try and run down 1 more. Garter's going to show himself real quickly, get off the Shuriken, and now Old Chicken is quite low. Nice Chronosphere. XD coming in, going to be able to lock down 2 with the Receive over the top. They'll be able to get both of these kills quite easily. Meanwhile, Viper does go farther down as CTY and Lana were able to pick him off, but still, that's a big win for CDEC, not only getting the big mid of EHOME, taking the OD out of play, which is so critical, right? Because OD as a mid is much more of kind of that carry later on into the game past 25 minutes.
Honestly, that's just so demoralizing that you dive past the tier 2 for this like level 5 undying. Nobody on your team can respond, and when they finally do come and respond, the Void is just there, and XZ has been the star so far for CDEC throughout the first 3 games that they played against Secret, and he kind of continues on. And that Void Chrono...
Perfect timing from XZ, great rotation by him.
It almost gives the level 6 to the Bounty Hunter too.
Big pickup as CDEC's kind of aggressive playstyle is really going to be able to play off of that bounty gold. Another big thing is that CDEC, their aggression right now is completely shutting down Roshan opportunities for EHOME. This is supposed to be kind of this snowball effect that Ursa, as a carry, is able to implement more so than any other carry, but CTY just hasn't found his opening yet.
And Garter has just been annoying. He's been playing on this side of the map. Same with the rest of his team. You notice that Q and Aggressive, they don't really invade the safe lane like they normally do. They just play around their jungle area, around this bottom safe lane, so that they can respond to it instantly. You want to make absolute sure that EHOME can't go for that free Roshan. It's one of their few ways back into the game. You want to deny it if you can. Kind of play this pressure game at all times. Pressuring EHOME just by denying that Roshan. And EHOME's like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do now? A lot of this game is now going to flow through Old 11. He's got to make some kills happen at his top.
He's trying to go for Garter. He will be able to pick up this kill, but it's going to be sacrificed. Shiki will be able to get the counter, and that is definitely not worth the trade-off. Keeps the Bounty Hunter from getting level 6, but obviously Viper's pretty happy with that pick.
Overall, gold change going in favor of CDEC.
But that was a rotation, right? Seeing the Viper there in the top lane does allow an opening finally for EHOME to slide into the Roshan pit and see if they can take it real quickly with this Mask Madness and Rage.
This is one of your few great opportunities that you have. You forced everybody over, Old 11, kind of playing that highlight die roll, willing to die just to force everybody over, but you've got to be ready for the fight.
See, he's almost there with the Chronosphere. It's going to be close, but they get off the Hex. They're able to stop that. Tombstone's out. The Chronosphere is still ready to go. XD managed to catch both in a beautiful position. They're going to deal with the Tombstone first, and then start going on CTY, but he's in range. Tanked up everything, and EHOME now going to be able to... Oh, great! Winter's Surge coming out. Perfect timing from Q. Stun up on XD. They'll take him out, and there goes the Aegis. CDC keep moving forward, but a big nuke laying on the Gyrocopter. They get him out. Old Chicken's going to be down, but CTY, he spawned right next to Shiki, and he's going to look to take him out. After this hold from Q is over, they're going to be able to slow him down a little bit more, but the slows are too much to handle. They're kiting around CTY beautifully, and Shiki, he knows he's got this kill in the bag. No! He turns too early, and CTY will pick up the kill before he dies. Meanwhile, Kanka, he's having a support battle out with Garter, who's Shuriken, needs a little bit more damage. He's going to dive in deep for this one. He knows he's got the Janata. A little bit of heal. Kanka will be able to survive, and it's Garter who's forced away. A nuke comes out from the Winter Wyvern, but it's not in time. Kanka will be able to retreat successfully.
Shiki, you greedy bastard.
I was like, I can't believe he turned around like that. That was he did not expect the wand charges.
It's not even the turnaround. It's that he could have just move 2 feet forward.
Yep.
Like continue. The Viper Strike goes on him. He can create distance, and then you can play the kite game with your poison attack. But still, overall, does okay there because they pick up the Roshan. That's a decent golden fusion, but CDEC.
But it's not like EHOME are going to be able to utilize that. I mean, they just got shut out in that fight. Looks like Q is probably going to be able to get away here from the Night Stalker. CTY is actually going to try and chase him down with a newly picked up Blink Dagger, but a good Cold Embrace actually stops that aggression. And EHOME are going to be forced away. In fact, Gyrocopter is going to try and land the ultimate. CTY shows a bit too fast, though, with a Phase Boots Mask of Madness combination. You just go up to, like, max movement speed so easily.
They probably...
Radiant's top
thing is, you
tower
rotated
is
4
under
heroes
attack.
here, but taking this mid tower is still dangerous.
Radiant's
It's one of the
structures are fortified.
towers that teams are just going to contest for, and you see Old 11 hold forward, and they're going to get the free top tower as a result of this. And it's pretty significant for EHOME.
Radiant's
They're already
top
soaking
tower
up a lot of these decay charges. Old Chicken TP ready in 5 seconds, so is Lion. And the tower is about to go down.
Dire's middle tower has
EHOME
fallen.
are not going to be able to contest.
EHOME decides to take that top tower instead.
Yeah.
You can see it as a 1-for-1 tower trade, and in that context it's okay, but much more valuable taking the mid tower than it is.
Oh, absolutely, especially with the control offers. XZ is going to be hexed up. Nice long-range initiation there from Lana, but XZ, oh no, he thought he had the mana, but that intelligence skill is too much for him to handle. Old Chicken is going to be majorly slowed down as Aggressive is going to be able to run him down. Lana just needs to abandon his teammate, but Aggressive knows he's got 1 kill in the bag, and he wants the other one. He's going to be able to chase down Lana as well, while teammates clean up the kill on the OD.
I believe that was back-to-back track 2 for the Bounty Hunter, and 4 teammates that are readily available there too. Most of the time, I feel like this Winter Wyvern hero really fallen off,
Radiant's
but the way that
bottom
he's using the
tower
Cold
is under
Embrace
attack.
and the way that he used the Winter's Curse in the Roshan pit fight almost makes it look okay.
Yeah, the way that Ursa is such a, like, kind of bursty,
Has been killed.
bursty physical damage
Dire's
dealer.
top tower
Like,
is
once
under
you
attack.
have just that 4-second disable Cold Embrace that just kind of stops his focus on one hero, it just kind of destroys him. He's not really
Dire's
able
top
to
tower is under
move out
attack.
from there.
For EHOME, the bright spot is that CTY is still getting a lot on the map. The Blink Dagger and Mask of Madness timing is pretty strong, and it looks like they're going to collapse. The CTY going from behind.
Nice pick off on Carter. It's going to be starting off here. Meanwhile, Kaka's trying to draw the attention. The rest of the CDEC lays out the Tombstone. CTY right in the middle of everything here is going to pop that in range, tanking up all the Gyrocopter damage. But again, the slows are causing issues. Now, they're going to be able to catch one here easily with the imprisonment. They actually have the Witcher's Curse laid out onto Old Chicken with 3 different heroes hitting onto him. But XD, oh, a 5-man chrono! And now CDEC going to make them huge turnaround, taking out 2 at least. They're going to look for Lonham, controlling him. He managed to get up an impale, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to be enough to save anybody. Only the Ursa will survive. CDEC once again bailed out by XD's beautiful timing.
For half a second there, I was like, EHOME, they're getting back into this game. You should just ditch that Viper. You're not going to be able to save him. XZ comes out of nowhere, gets a 5-man chrono off. How often do you see that happen? Is EHOME, they're trying to consolidate their strength, but instead drop 4.
You
This is
can
gonna be a
see
top tier
CDEC, like, they're just kind of baiting it out. Q's like, oh, Witcher's Curse, lead it up into 5. XC's almost there, gets the chrono. And now, at this point in time, CDEC, after a huge win like that, are going to be able to lever that into some more map control. They're going to be able to take the tier 2 at top, it looks like, unless EHOME really feel like contesting once again, which they are. They're going to try and smoke and go for that fight. It's not nighttime either, which is a little bit disconcerting, but
Yeah, that was the issue too in the first fight at top.
Radiant's
They
middle
picked off
tower
Garter,
is
and
under
then they
attack.
think, even if we get a somewhat even fight, it's okay because there's not going to be Bounty Hunter trek. Kind of counterbalancing, and they're leading in XP and gold, so we might as well go for this, but it should have just been maybe 1 or 2 hero pickoffs. It turns into 4.
can we talk about perhaps, is this a little bit of dysfunction coming out from CDC and item builds? Garter,
The double
yeah, they're both planning on going for the mech.
off.
Yeah.
I don't think DC can respond in time.
Aggressive, still not have that BKB is just going to be food for fodder here, and Q gets a little bit too close too. Had to leave that Gyrocopter alone. Ends up giving an extra kill now to EHOME.
Good news for EHOME right now is that they're still making game-winning plays. Like, they're still trying to go for these 5-man engagements, look for 2 or 3 heroes, pick it off. And CDEC aren't quite ready for that. Picking up the Gyrocopter too is a really significant pickup for them. Just allow your OD to get back into the game, your Ursa to climb a little bit more in XP. The good news for them is that CTY is still really farmed. I assume that's a BKB. I can't imagine it being anything else. But once he gets BKB, there's not a whole lot that's going to stop him besides the tunnel. Even then, they don't have the burst.
Nice rotation from Lanham. Of catching out that Faceless Void who's trying to split push up that top tower. That early Ether really coming into play. Lanham able to pick that one up has actually resulted in multiple pickoffs now.
He always gets it nowadays. The Arcane Boost build up makes him really effective. Right now, EHOME doing okay, considering how this game has started and how many 4-man pickoffs CDEC have been able to find. Like, the XP is nearing 0, gold is still around 5k, but if you've got EHOME's lineup, you're still feeling pretty comfortable with the XP alone.
Right. Being said though, EHOME, a lot of their progression is right now on the Ursa, who is going to have a bit of a falling off. Not nearly as much as the old Ursa, but you do want to rely a little bit more on your Outworld Devourer going into past like 30-45 minutes, right?
For sure.
And that's a little bit concerning because he's only sitting at 6,300 net worth. He hasn't progressed too much.
It's okay though, because I would normally say yeah to the Ursa thing, but because he's playing against both a Viper and a Gyro Core, the Ursa's almost always going to be effective against both guys.
Right.
You notice that Shiki, despite how much in like height with the and all that and corrosive skin, he goes down incredibly fast to the Ursa.
Yeah, this is a general change-up. Oh, a low of 11. Is he actually going to be tanking this?
A little
No,
bit too fast.
That's going to be a smoke that's kind of wasted there for CDEC. I mean, the pickoff by itself, because it's an off-lane Night Stalker, not a 4 position, would have been okay for CDEC, but they don't even get that much.
I think they're trying to... They weren't even trying to really run into him. They were looking for a pickoff around that Roche timing area. And then if Roshan's up, they can go for that, or they can even go for this tier 2. The Night Stalker would have been big just for the vision game.
Radiant's bottom tower
Shiki is actually going to go for an Axe Viper, something that we haven't seen in quite some time. This is kind of the older Viper now. This is just purely because of the kiting of the Ursa they have to do, right?
Cast range too.
Right.
So CDC feeling that they still have momentum in this game, which is correct. And they have to accomplish a lot because again, this Ursa caused a lot of issues for them later on into the game. CTY's already got his BKB completed now too. Okay, it's sitting off map for now. Get TP back, pick up that BKB, and they'll actually be ready to fight. This means CDC really need a strong initiation. They do have plenty of disables that go through BKB though, so this won't be a guaranteed win for EHOME with this fresh item pickup. I sort of think EHOME, CDC have to be really careful. XC has been clutch for them in all of these engagements, but you can only rely on that so frequently. It's actually kind of incredible that EHOME is still doing really well in this game, and it just kind of goes to show that EHOME are finding better individual pickoffs when they find them, and most importantly, they're just blinking straight up to the secret shop, just trying to see if there's anything there, but it's actually Kaka who's sending that towards the full 5. He gets off a tombstone here, and they're actually going to be able to save him there with the imprisonment. Old 11 trying to draw a little bit of attention. Kaka comes right back. CTY blowing up a gyrocopter already, and now CDEC have lost a share of their damage. CTY being the target of Winter's Curse, but he got off the BKB. He's just going to be able to keep on running through. Chronosphere that's going to be purely zoning out EHOME, preventing EHOME from being able to chase down the rest of these heroes. But XZ, he was hit by the slow, so it looks like he is going to be sacrificed here as a cold embrace. Q, maybe he gave up his life. He does have the Force Staff, is going to be able to get a TP out. Old 11 can't stop it in time, so they get 2 of the cores of CDEC, and EHOME are now going to be in a position to finally take down that Radiant mid tower that's been up for so long. They'll go for the Roshan first.
True.
I think it matters more right now, context of the game, because the Void is down, the Chrono's down. You can get that mid tower right after this. It's just going to be there. But this Roshan, you want to absolutely secure for your team, and suddenly EHOME are looking really dangerous. And something we talked about is, even though they were down, it looks like they're down in kills, and it looks like they're giving up a little bit. They didn't lose any of their main objectives. They didn't give up Roshan, so CDC can go for really early tier 2 tower or anything like that, and they didn't give up any of their tier 2 towers, even despite being 4-man wide. Like, they instantly re-engage, smoke up S5, they find a 2-man pick-off on aggressive, they buy themselves more time, then they take that Roshan fight with the help of their BKB on Ursa, they get the Aegis.
And this is kind of EHOME's specialty, right? In that they are so good at being able to come back in the mid to late game and be able to afford to lose some of their lanes.
It's just this insane style where it's bend don't break. You pick CTY a hero that's good against the other 2 cores at all times, and you're going to notice this throughout the tournament. He's always going to have these favorable matchups where feels that even though the laning phase isn't going great for his team, he can have impact.
What about this pickup from the Ursa? He's got a point booster. I expected Hex. I expected Scythe of Ice to be a pickup. Try and jump, grab the gyrocopter, blow him up. You know, be able to prevent these heroes from kiting around. But
That or Basher.
yeah, that too. Well, you know, either one of those big disables. But
I guess it's really good against the. You can pop it no matter what, right? Even while disabled.
yeah, I think it's only like
So maybe for the Void Chrono.
not sure about the Void Chrono.
It's
but
picked so sparingly that I'm not even sure when you can.
Dire's top tower
I mean, is there any chance that it's like a Scotty and some sort of weird stat build? That, I mean, the slow would be okay. It just feels like harder disables.
I think you want to play on the offensive with this hero anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
BKB's almost complete for aggressive, but it's 25 minutes in. His farm has been a bit dwindling as he's been ripped apart by the Ursa multiple times.
Garter's got a force staff, pretty significant support pickup. They've got a force staff on
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
the Winter Wyvern as well. So these aren't completely poor supports or anything like that, but net worth wise, they're not even doing that great compared to this line who's got Aetherland's Blink already. And
Yeah.
he's level 11 too.
That blink pickup is going to be perhaps so much more critical than CDEC's force staffs. Because of the way that if they get the right kind of initiation, right, they pick off the gyrocopter before BKB or they take out the Void Chronosphere,
Dire's
then
bottom
fight's
tower
won.
is under
EHOME's
attack.
gonna hit the timing too. When they get their Ags on Old 11, and they're gonna pick up whatever item on CTY, plus got a BKB, I'd imagine, on Old Chicken. And CDC are gonna be really hard pressed to take that fight. This is so demoralizing right now. You've built up a decent lead, you're controlling tempo, and all of a sudden you lose 2 team fights and home have the advantage. And that's what we said in the pregame show as well. This bend don't break style where they're able to hold on just enough so that CTY, playing whatever core he is, can counter your 2 cores.
The 5-man smoke into mid. They realize that EHOME are actually all bottom. They're not in a position to quickly defend that tier 2 tower, and perhaps nor should they.
Radiant's bottom tower
EHOME are going
is
to try
under
and wrap
attack.
around here. The glyph is going to be
Dire's
running
middle
out
tower
though.
is under attack.
They are actually in an okay position to try and jump CDC, but you don't want to be going high ground. CTY, he could gladly jump up there though. They managed to get the force down on the Cheeky, buying him a little bit more time, but he's still going to be blown up. It looks like that cold embrace eventually is going to go down. They're going to be able to take him out with pure damage of the OD. Now XD forced to use a Chronosphere. That's not going to be a great one. And CTY still holding up to that Aegis. Here comes Old Chicken. He's got the ultimate ready to draw too. He's hoping to be able to hold it off until the BKB is down to aggressive. That 10-second BKB is doing so much work. Winter's Curse on CTY with just a sliver of HP left, but it's aggressive, still trying to fight it out with some of these supports, but they've got it controlled up. Without that BKB, he can't do anything more. Kaka's going to be able to stay alive, and CTY managed to pick up the kill on that Winter Wyvern without dropping that Aegis.
5-man team wipe, all you lose is the OD, and that was kind of funny though. Old Chicken just strolls in, he's like, I got this, guys.
Yep.
Don't worry, we don't need aggressive. He walks in, gets shot immediately, blown up, but it doesn't even matter because CTY still had the Aegis the entire time through. CDEC, they had to know that that engagement was going to happen. Even without the tier tower available, EHOME, they have the Night Stalker, it was nighttime. On top of that, they had the Aegis for so much longer.
Radiant's middle
Almost
tower
no chance that they were going to win that fight.
And CTY now has the opportunity to get that Ags if he wants to. See the way that they just could not seem to blow up CTY, and even if they did, it wouldn't have mattered. The Aegis was still a go, and the only reason that that fight looked at all okay for aggressive in particular was because of that 10-second PKB. The moment it ran out, you just got destroyed by the disables of the Lion.
That's really critical too. The way that CDEC, they like to run it is this first BKB timing, this 10-second one, matters a lot to them, Cap. That's the we to guarantee win this fight. It's just not going to scale as well as Gyro is, for example. And
Kaka, he's going to be going down here, CDC, with a rather sneaky 5-man TP into that tier 1 tower. They knew that EHOME was going to be making the rotation across. That being said, they didn't actually gain that much out of it. It was heavy rotation. All they picked off was the support and kept that tier 1 alive.
the EHOME style though, deceptive. We talked about this even before this game when we were in our room saying, okay, EHOME, they let you take these little kills, they let you kill old 11, and you think it matters because you're ahead by 8 or 9 kills. Then you realize you've killed this 2K, 3K network hero, all the while CTY is getting kills and farming to his heart's content.
Radiant's middle tower.
They're gonna take this mid tier too, but CDEC, they're just gonna keep going for it. They know that the Ursa doesn't have the Aegis. Probably one of the better timings for it too.
Radiant's middle tower has
They know that the glyph is down as well.
And it has some TPs back from EHOME. As CTY is going to be last man in. Nice stun there from Lana. Actually, will be able to get the pick off on XP. Get out. No Chronosphere, CTY. Anchor Bear starts charging forward. Winter's Curse laid out. Old Chicken barely clipping himself as he tried to blink forward to catch one more. See if they can actually get it with the Night Stalker who's surging ahead. Shiki, oh, nice stun from Lana. He saw that one coming. Shiki put himself in the trees, gets caught out by the Impale. That's going to be another critical pickoff as CDEC lose 2 as they try to push high ground for that tier 3.
Good hero against Viper. Survive. The kiting aspect only exists when you're so massively far ahead that doesn't really matter then in any case. Of course, they're not really getting anything out of this. Viper's gonna go for BKB eventually, but the Ursa will still rip into shreds.
It looks like they're going to continue along the lines of trying to kite the Ursa. Aggressive is now going for what looks to be a Sky.
Saw him pick up
Radiant's
that Orb of
bottom
Venom.
tower is under attack.
He could still
Radiant's
go for-
bottom tower has fallen.
I don't know. Manta would be kind of worthless here.
Is it too late to complete the SNY?
The main reason you go for the Yasha here is just for the mobility drums, so that you can kite and your team fight potential is high. You can chase down with the rocket barrage, but
Radiant's
I think he
bottom
needs
tower
more
is
stats.
under attack.
Then I think you're gonna lack for damage.
11. He is so close to that axe. I'm a little bit surprised that EHOME are going to try and push without it, but looks like they'll be okay. CTY managed to get himself out of that bind again with that axe upgrade. Enrage, he's just able to walk it off like that.
Actually going for the diffusal. Like
Gold and
what
sweet.
his preferred build was in the other game too. At least skipping the blink, but
He's got to deal with
Oh, he's gonna go for-
particularly that silence from old 11, right?
ooh, Manta. Hey, I feel like it's way too late for that item, but Yasha it is the Night Stalker now completes the Aghanims. He's got Vlads and a gem to complete it. The Lion has a staff coming, the Undying, Ghost Scepter, and a mech. Everybody's just so farmed right now from EHOME. Figured that this Undying, he had to play the hard fight position and
They wouldn't be able to pick up that much,
Yeah,
but he's just been able to survive through so many of these engagements, in part because of his allies. The excellent timings by Lonem to come in with the right disable or multiple OD imprisonments. That
Double
have
Roshan help.
so many heroes. XD is going to be able to jump in and catch old 11, but is this really going to be worth it? Roshan Wilson zoning back the rest of EHOME. They'll get to kill the Night Stalker, but it's going to be a trade-off. They lost their Faceless Void. The big thing, though, is that gem, but CTY's already come in from behind. He's going to make sure this isn't an easy fight for CDEC to be able to disengage from, or maybe not. He's actually doesn't have his ultimate up. Nice stun from Lonem once again. Taka put himself in the front lines. Old Chicken has that ultimate, trying to zone as much intelligence as possible before dropping. Will be able to get the win for Wyvern. Aggressive chase down by CTY once again with that fresh enrage up. Old challenged by Gardner, but and realized he's got to run himself the hell away. But surrounded by EHOME, who's managed to back up that gem. And they're actually going to try and go for a little bit more. Old Chicken, though, not able to reach Shiki in time. This is going to be Roshan number 3 now for EHOME.
CDEC are just getting shish kebabbed in every single fight. They have to open up with the Chronosphere, one of the Night Stalkers, because that's the hero you see. And you just hope that that's an okay engagement, but CDEC, I think they're starting to fast realize the type of position that they're in. That fight almost looks okay for Second 2. CTY wasted the initial ulti and the BKB, looked like he was going to get kited around, but because of the Aghanim Scepter, the Enrage was already up by the time that the BKB was over. So it's almost like he's invincible. He pops the
Enrage
first time.
into BKB, into another Enrage.
Exactly. And you're killing this hero is just taking a lot out of them. They have to use the Void Chrono to set up for the initial kill because he doesn't have a Blink Dagger, so you can't really rely on him to find the backline like you normally would with a Void. So you take what you can get in that situation. EHOME are just winning every single fight from here on out.
Now, this is something I've seen from multiple pubs as the teams were kind of getting ready for this major, the OD Octarine Core. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's really strong. It gives you a ton of mana, ton of intelligence to work with.
He managed to lifesteal off of the Arcane Orb as well.
Got the entities eclipse done as well.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
that's
such a long
the big thing, right? Is that you come in, you try and get a couple of intelligence hits off, and then you always drop the ultimate. If that's up a bit earlier, EHOME will have a faster tempo in being able to fight. Guardrake? Oh dear, that might not be going to be an initiation. They do get the imprisonment off, that's going to be able to turn things around. The Winter's Curse, just a saving grace for now for CDEC. XD comes in, will be able to get the chrono on too, but there's still CTY to deal with. Right now he's on top of Shiki. They're trying to kite him around, but he's just in the middle of everything. Got that Aegis, they've pulled up the bounty hunter already, and here comes the rest of EHOME surging forward after that Chronosphere. Gonna be able to catch multiple heroes on Al Shiki. He's not gonna be able to rotate away, it looks like, is EHOME. Old Chicken, alright, he might not be able to get him. Q, meanwhile, taken out by Lanham. Old 11, though, he really wants to be able to get aggressive with the help of CTY, and it looks like they will be able to get him. Viper has had to retreat all the way into the dire jungle just to be able to get his Q. He's put himself up on the trees, will be able to fly himself out for a moment, but Lanham quick to catch him every single time. Line has been on point. The one fight for EHOME, we're going to be turning the high ground very soon.
They were actually lucky that they didn't lose the Viper right now. And it's another, I think that's the 5th or 4th consecutive fight that they've lost. Even then, it looked somewhat okay. The problem is that CTY is playing this role of the wall. Just runs in, the rest of his team has to deal with him. XD's like, guys, I've got a 3-man chrono over here. They're just like, we can't. What do you want us to do?
Yeah, you run through the Ursa. That's not going to be a feasible plan. And now EHOME still have that Aegis intact. CTY is going to jump on a Shiki right away. Pops the Enrage. This is why they had so many of those 4-stat pickups. So necessary to be able to save these allies against the quite fast Ursa.
Just trying to force him back because he is the Aegis. You want to high ground with this hero anyways. You want to put him between. Time and time again, you see what he's doing. He's putting himself between CDC and the rest of his teammates.
Right.
Just create this barrier where either you lose a hero or you have to run past them.
I mean, you've got some pretty good glass cannons. Old Chicken, you also have the Lion sitting in the background as well. These are heroes that can dish out amazing amount of disables and damage if they just have that kind of frontline hero, and CTY is making sure that's always the case. And now he's even tankier and harder to get away from, too. Scotty picked up for CTY now.
Fully completed Scotty, already ramps himself up 3.2k HP. Most importantly, Cap, you BKB on top of the Ags, like we already talked about the interaction where you can just do one after another. And most importantly, now you've got just pure HP.
Do you think that the idea behind the Ag Viper, if he'd actually been able to forego the mech, and then not go the Ags and go more of a damaging build that we've seen from Vipers before. Perhaps he goes for the early S and Y, that sort of thing. Would that have been a better plan to be able to deal with the Ursa in the late game, or was it just never feasible? Challenge EHOME this late.
I don't think could have really challenged them to begin with, like this later on into the game. Vipers always just going to be kind of running away.
Right.
And he's going to get chased down so easily, but CTY doesn't his ultimate just go off the
Larder's gonna get a whole pop at the time. Nice quick kickoff there. Lanham and Old Chicken making the double blink initiation. They were probably expecting CTY to be the one who comes out and tries to pop a hero, but EHOME changed things up this time around. Tombstone is going to be taken out by CDEC, but you can see how scared they are. It's a nice 2-man stun from Lanham. Old Chicken's going to come in, manage to lay out the ultimate, aggressive, quite low. CTY trying to deal with him. Nice Chronosphere, but unfortunately caught aggressive as well. Not so nice after all. XD trying to deal any amount of damage he possibly can. The Winter's Curse goes out, but CTY doesn't really care. He just pops BKB, runs right on through, and tries to challenge aggressive as he's laying into him. And unfortunately, the flank cannon shots are just not enough to kill any of these supports. EHOME are just hiding around the gyrocopter rather than the other way around. Kanka, he's got the ghost steps, he's trying to get away. Old Chicken is going to be left to die. Kanka not going to be able to escape either, as too many slows. EHOME perhaps just a bit too over-aggressive this time.
Maybe just a little bit. They're diving behind tier 4 towers just to pick off individual kills. They don't even bother going for the tier 3 mid initially. I think that was a little...
Whoa, Garter! That is definitely a gem. Looks like that's going to be a bit of a bait though. XD comes in, doesn't have the Chronosphere of course. CTY, they're trying to kite him around as much as possible. Shiki is so slow, but fortunately they will have enough damage to be able to deal with him this time around. EHOME Can't believe they stuck around for that. They just lost 2, and then they still have the confidence to try and take a fight, get some sort of pick up in the bounty hunter, which is very clearly a bait from CDEC.
That was straight up insanity by EHOME. They got way too overconfident, and probably more than that, they probably just got overhyped. A lot of these guys are still somewhat new to Dota, playing at this kind of level, and so they probably just like, you know, let's get these guys. They're gonna give up soon. We want every fight. Whatever.
What about this Crimson Guard pickup from Bounty Hunter? I mean, we usually see some sort of utility build. It's usually the mech. We're talking about, you know, that little bit of interaction between the Viper and the Bounty Hunter. Both of them like to try and pick up a mech for their team. So instead, it goes a different utility item. Crimson Guard.
What kind of world are we living in where CDEC is going to get the first racks of the game?
I'm not sure, but it looks like it's going to happen here. As the melee racks are definitely going down unless Ursa's got a buyback, and he doesn't seem to want to. They've already blown. Oh, there goes the buyback coming in. They're now going to TP out. Aggressive doesn't have the BKB anymore, so there's nothing really protecting here unless the Chronosphere go hold him in. But CTY, he doesn't actually get caught by this one. He is getting backed up though multiple times. BKB, Winter's Curse now. Next one's coming in. XD tries to challenge old chicken. No, he has got no damage to do so. And CDEC just need to try and make some sort of clean extraction, but of course EHOME have these Blink Daggers, they have the Night Stalker as well. CDEC may be forced to fight here. Aggressive actually turned, dealing with the homing. This is running at him. CTY, oh, the ultimate drop by old chicken. He's just zapped up so much intelligence at a certain point. It was going to be able to nuke down everyone on the side of CDEC, and now it's just cleanup time. EHOME going to try and find as many kills as possible, and they get every single one of them. Don't drop a peek.
For a second, just this brief second, I was like, CDEC, they're doing it. They force CTY to buy back. Hiding. They look okay in this team fight. They keep force staffing backwards. Then the hammer just gets dropped from the Outworld Devourer.
And we were talking about it. You have to deal with that OD eventually.
He's a monster now.
This is like the third fight in a row where I felt like, you know, they just had to get that one quick objective and then back out. And they just never seem to want to do so. They always kind of get caught. They seem to be torn when it comes to backing away and fighting.
They had the hard commit as well for Tombstone. I think they even used the BKB on the Gyrocopter. It actually ends up going for the Manta style. Doesn't the OD Arcane Orb just destroy that though?
It feels the solution's pretty damn well.
And at bottom, EHOME are going to go for this set of racks too. CDEC, they really don't want to have to buy back for this. They're so close up anyways.
Yeah, Gyrocopter doesn't even have his buyback, so now they're just gonna try and jump forward. Managed to draw a little bit of time away from their bottom lane of racks. It looks like EHOME are going to have to go home without that prize. XD be able to catch somebody here. Tombstone is going to be laid out. CDEC not going to be able to charge past that one.
And
that is a clean extraction right there.
At least they only lost one rack for that. And CDEC, they still have some win condition, which is the crazy part. Like,
yeah, kill CTY.
Yeah. So,
no buyback.
And you just go for it. Maybe you've got an opportunity here. I think if there's any time to play aggressive right now, it's right now. You go for a smoke or something, try to find the Ursa and win the game.
Kill CTY, Roshan's coming up. I mean, those are two different timings that CDEC are actually in a pretty advantageous position, seeing as they didn't blow any buybacks.
Look at, they're going for the smoke.
Yep.
Find CTY. This is it's crazy right now that CDEC still have a win condition. Being down 15k and against the Ursa, they're gonna check the Roshan pit, but it's not gonna be up for a full minute. Ursa's gonna complete a basher. Fortunately for CDEC, he doesn't have it on him quite yet. They're just looking in the wrong direction right now. Might even get flanked here if they break the smoke, farm some creeps to push in the mid wave.
They're just sitting together mid right now.
They're gonna
if they could have been this high ground, perhaps the fight can still go okay. Kaka pops his ultimate, lays down the tombstone defensively here, knows that this is not a fight he can afford to be popped right away. CTY comes in from the side, starts going for Q, but that's not going to be the target. He just cold embraces himself. Aggressive is now dealt with the tombstone. The imprisonment will only hold Kaka for so long. They're going to be able to run him down now. Old Chicken pops the Shivas, but this seems to be a fight that EHOME are a little bit too spread. XD's going to be able to catch Old 11. Now Old Chicken comes in, drops the ultimate, actually brings pretty low, but still a great Chronos from XD, holding an old chicken. They're going to be able to take him out. CTY, he's going to be kited around pretty heavily unless somehow these supports can put a stop to this. Aggressive. Oh, he gets taken out as he gets bashed up. It's going to be next is BKB going to town. Another bash. Old chicken beats Bob back. Shiva's on in. Going to be able to catch the Viper on the way out as well. And XD, he's not getting away. He's been completely drained by Lana. He knows his only hope is to potentially kill Lana, but that's not going to happen. He keeps his distance. 4 down from CDEC. And now EHOME are definitely going to be forcing some sort of buyback. So he's going to take Roshan, get that agent and cheese, go down mid, and CDEC, they've only got a buyback on the Viper right now.
You've got 2 options right now for EHOME. You take the Sega's cheese, you try to dethrone it. Don't know how likely that is. At worst, CDEC only lose 1 set of racks, I think. And that's an okay scenario to play from.
I mean, looking at the fight, it looks so good. The way that CDEC were very grouped up, they were controlling the fight pretty damn well. They got the pick off on Conka. They turned to go for the Night Stalker. Like, Old Chicken just really doesn't manage to get off really any good positioning whatsoever. EHOME bit too spread, and then he comes back in, drops that ultimate. It was just so much damage. And that double Chronosphere looked good, but between the buybacks there, the OD.
Problem is, look at Lanam's position in this fight. He's on the side, he's just annoying them like crazy. He gets a stun off on 3 heroes during the Chronosphere timing, so they can't utilize it as much as should have.
Radiant's bottom barracks.
Definitely gonna lose at least 1 rack there. As EHOME are just gonna back off. Engages.
Dire's top tower is
EHOME
under attack.
have taken the important racks at bottom lane. And the rack is down.
Back and forth game.
But again, this is a situation. They don't have buybacks because of roll, but if CDC can actually get that goal, they've still got a really good shot at being able to find some sort of win condition here. A minute and a half until Ursa's buyback is up, and then you still have another 5 minutes for both the Undying as well as the OD. But it looks like EHOME are still going to try and force this fight with the initiation. Old 11 is going to try and bounce up to as fast as possible. Great Leaf is going to be targeted here, already down to half HP, but CTY have a hard time staying on top of them. They will be able to save Kaka. CTY now turns his attention to Cheeky, who's trying to run himself away. Nice turnaround Winter's Curse. That's going to be able to holding the 2 carries. Chronosphere on top. CDC, they're just ignoring the big damage dealers and dealing with all the support from behind. They've already caught 2. Now are they going to be able to turn this one? CTY, he's going to fight it out. Aggressive, managed to get a bit of a save, but Old Chicken doesn't carry. He's got the pure damage and massive damage to take out the Gyrocopter carry. Shiki is having to deal with CTY once again, but he just can't seem to loose this bear. Stares right on his tail, and Garter, he's not going to be getting out either. That's going to be... Whoa! CDEC just followed from there. They had buybacks on 3 different heroes, but I realized that this is just not possible to fight anymore. It's too late in the game.
No, Old Chicken still has the Aegis. I think at that point, call it say we've invested everything that we could have, brought it somewhat close actually, speaking down 30,000 experience. They were somehow able to make a game out of it, but really exciting game 1.
And EHOME, as you were talking about, they managed to bend and did not break. In fact, they break CDEC. What our analyst desk has to say, what went wrong for CDEC and what did EHOME do right?